Happy Thursday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of On the Wrong Lead Live, I guess we're calling this. At least that's what I named these things. I don't know if people pay attention, but yeah, we're back to I feel very accomplished this week because I think this is the third week in a row we've actually streamed. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Hey, we got another Derby prep coming up this week. We got Holy Bull coming up. And if Gulfstream last week wasn't enough, if you didn't get enough Gulfstream action there, you got another week of it. And I know one guy who's very, very excited to handicap Gulfstream for the second week in a row, Mr. Caleb Knight.
This is my excited to handicap Gulfstream face.
This is your nightmare.
I mean, 2 weeks in a row. We haven't streamed 3 weeks in a row in a year, and 2 of the 3 weeks in a row are Gulfstream.
Oh man, I know. Dude, blame Santa Anita because I was all in on doing Santa Anita this weekend, and then I saw the Derby preps.
I'll come back the same way. I mean, the weather is, but the whole card is.
Yeah. I didn't really like. Honestly, like. It was just a process of elimination. Like this was probably the best card, and I don't know. I was looking at Tampa a little bit, but I mean,
absolutely not.
At least we got Turfway running right now too. So, no, I actually thought that the races were a little were interesting enough. I got a single in here. Caleb, you probably already know what horse I'm singling in the sequence. So, we'll I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, no, I thought it was decent enough sequence. I just have a huge problem with Gulfstream because, Caleb, we've talked about this for Santa Anita, the Tiago fuck you horse.
Yep.
Gulfstream has just got the absolute just Gulfstream race every single sequence, and it's just like good luck, And heck, I still remember the pick six carry where I was live to like 3 horses, and like Paco Lopez just decided to quit for the day, like legitimately quit, like he left. And there was a late jockey change, and I'm like, I literally only bet this horse because Paco was aboard, and I thought he would like be aggressive, and he just quit because he got DQ'd earlier in the card or something. And it's just like can't catch a break at Gulfstream, but a man who can't catch a break anywhere, including Turfway and Delta Downs, Mr. Mark Capitan. Mark, you just got double eliminated here in the last 2 races at Delta and Turfway. So how you feeling?
In rapid succession, I boomed myself. I had, I'm rather noted as being a lover of chalk, and I got boomed by the chalk in both races. So I feel like I don't know, karma's biting me in the ass, but yeah, no, I'm doing all right. I don't. It's that funny time of year where you're kind of Derby preps are getting going, but there isn't a real hype horse on behind yet, or a Derby prep, Derby horse and prep for the Derby that I'm super excited about. So it's that fun time of year where you can watch some races and try to find that horse that you go, oh, there's my Derby horse, and that is a little fun, albeit the racing is kind of suspect for the next couple of months. So
yeah. And honestly, like we've talked about this, and by the way, hello, Road Warrior. It's good to see you. We haven't seen Road Warrior in forever, so nice to see Road Warrior. Yeah. Obviously, we got Stephen Fox here saying that Caleb playing Gulfstream Park 2 weeks in a row. Back off, ladies. He's mine.
I played Gulfstream with Steve last week. We went on a big group ticket. Dead leg won. So watching at home.
Oh man, what was I saying? But honestly, like, I kind of feel like the first couple of months, the Derby preps are kind of secondary to just the other horses that are running. Like fairgrounds, I think is a great example, right? Because it's really not until you get to the Louisiana Derby where it's like, all right, like these are Derby horses, like for sure Derby horses, but they start running their classic distance older horse races, their nice turf races and stuff on those same days and the days of the other Derby preps. So like you get to see a bunch of other really cool horses and nice horses there. So it really is kind of like the races surrounding that. Now with Gulfstream, it's kind of weird because we just had Pegasus last week. So I don't really know how many of the just like top notch horses we got showing up this week, because I think we had a bunch of them last week. But I thought the card was decent enough. And yeah, I mean, we might as well just like kind of hop into it here. Let me share my screen here, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start in race 8 here. We got an optional claimer. Right, we're going to be going a mile and 3/8 on the turf, a very common distance, apparently at Gulfstream. Caleb, before you got on, obviously we've been messing around with our software and kind of what we're using for our streaming and stuff like that the last couple of weeks, but we're back on a familiar platform, which means I have a bunch of old videos lined up here. So before you got on, Mark and I watched the Zulu Alpha Caleb Knight video and chuckled a little bit. And so of course we have to start right with a mile and 3/8 on the turf here at Gulfstream Park. Just to I guess reminisce a little bit. We got a full field of 12. We got an also eligible 13 Mutawid here. And your morning line favorite is going to be the 2 Lentaris at 3-1. You get 4-1 on Classic Creation, 9-2 on Kid Cairo, 5-1 on Ramblin' Wreck. You get double digits on everybody else here. And I landed on 2 horses. I did like Kid Cairo at 9-2. Dylan Davis getting up for Mark Cassie. Obviously is only one race in his career, and it's kind of ran last time out at a mile and a half, is getting a cutback, believe it or not. And I thought ran pretty decent that last time. Finished third by a length there. Was 15-1, so wasn't necessarily bet down a ton. I think it was just kind of wide down the stretch a little bit, and so maybe could have used a little bit of saving of the ground there. It is out wide once again in the 12th post here, but I don't know. There's not really much in this field that scares me much. So I think that last effort, if he's able to kind of pair that here, I think he's going to be tough to beat in here. Some of these shorter prices, I wasn't terribly impressed with. Like the 3 Classic Creation is a John Terranova horse. He doesn't have any figs, at least on Brisnet, that are close enough to here. And then the 2 Lantharis, I mean, they've been running him at this long distance, and I mean his ran okay, but similar, like he finished 6th that last common race, and he's going to be much shorter. I'll take a shot at Arrow, who beat him last time out. The only other horse I am going to use is going to be the 6 Tennessee Lamb. And I mean, look, we're going these long distances. You get Luis Saez aboard on the speed of the speed, or maybe even just the lone speed horse in this race. Hasn't necessarily ran that well on turf, but was able to break his maiden last time out at Churchill Downs. So I'm hoping that he's able to get out there on the front end, and we've seen some of these these New York jocks come on down to Gulfstream Park, and sometimes you get Naira, you get the old Naira special, and maybe Luis Saez is able to kind of just be calm out there on the front end. I'm hoping to get a price on this horse, right? I don't want to take a short price. If this horse ends up taking money for some reason, I mean, I don't want any part of it. But if we're looking at double digits, I mean, this is definitely one that's going to make all my tickets. So I'm just going to use those 2 horses. I'm going to use the 6 Tennessee Lamb, and I'm going to use the 12 Kid Cairo. I see Road Warrior saying Davison Cassie has been his Roy machine. He's hitting us with the old muscle emoji over there. You know, I don't know if Road Warrior's been working out, but hopefully his arms are a little bit bigger than they were when we saw him in Saratoga. Because if not, then that might be you know, that might be like the reverse, right? The little upside down, the upside down muscle there. But Caleb, where did you land here?
Yeah, this was a really hard race for me. I didn't have a strong opinion in here. You mentioned the number 6 Tennessee Lamb. That is one that I actually like in here, and this is not a horse that really fits the profile of a horse I would normally go for. You know, taking 8 cracks to break his maiden, and then going into winners the first time. But it just, I had a hard time separating any of the runners exiting that common race on January 5th. It just felt like they all sort of ran in place. Some runners made bigger moves than others, but it was a slow pace where the front of the front half of the field really held together all the way around the whole mile and a half distance. And I just struggled in this race because a lot of the horses look the same. I mean, I look at a horse like Lantharis, who's fine, but I don't see why that horse is supposed to be 3-1 necessarily. And I don't see a reason why, Josh, Kid Cairo should be 9-2 for that matter. I mean, they all look the same to me. So to your point about Tennessee Lamb, I think this horse is going to be controlling speed and potentially lone speed, depending on what one or two others decide to do. And I think you might be able to make the argument of he wasn't that good on turf when they tried it. But I think you also have to consider that he wasn't also that good on dirt when they tried it at that point of the year either. So I think that what really seemed to coincide with the improvement with this horse is the fact that he was able to stretch out to those longer distances, mile and a quarter, mile and 3/16, and he was able to get a more aggressive ride. With Saya's up, both of those tended to lead to good results there. I mean, a couple of nice seconds and then a runaway win last time. He's bred to take to the turf. Yeah, I agree with Josh. You need to demand a price here, but that is one who I like. The only other horse that I'll mention, and this is a race where I'll be pretty spread, but the other horse that I'll kind of mention here briefly is the number 9, II Siciliano. And this is a horse coming out of that January 5th race at Gulfstream. But I feel like if I want somebody out of that race, it's probably this horse at a big price. He was really far back and he was wide on a race where the leader went wire to wire, and the top 4 finishers were in the top 5 at the first call. So there wasn't a ton of positioning changing or anything like that. So I just thought that he's one that he made up 5 or 6 lengths as he turned from home with a less than ideal trip from a pace and ground loss perspective. He's a little bit wide again, so he does have to kind of work something out, but hopefully Jaramillo can get him a little more involved early so we can get inside and save a little bit of ground. But this was a tough race for me. I didn't have a great opinion here. I'll probably be 5 deep in some combination of ABs. Mark, what did you have?
Yeah, no, very much the same as both of you two. I guess I probably lean more on the Caleb side, where I thought this race was just really, really tough. There's a ton of horses in here that just have no form and they just never win. And, it's really hard. I mean, I think, when you're looking at a morning line favorite who's 2 for 16 lifetime, and my form only goes back to October of 2022, and I don't see a win. So, those kind of horses that are going to go off as a favorite really just it's a really wide open affair. Josh mentioned Kid Cairo, who at least is a lighter raced horse. And that last effort looked like to be a step forward with the stretch out. So, pedigree doesn't really say this is the trip, but the performance last out was pretty decent. And the only other horse that you guys haven't mentioned that I will mention is the number 10 Steadfast Resolve for George Weaver. At least this horse has some recency. On paper, horse is too slow to win, but has won the last 2. You're getting jock up for today, one last out. Too slow on paper, but the pedigree should say this one should handle the stretch out at least. So, in a race where you have a lot of these, I was waiting for it. In a race where you have a lot of these horses who are, 2 for 20 or 3 for 17 types, at least you have a horse that has won a couple of races, and has shown that they, have a little talent, in a race that, I don't know. This feels like your classic, these sort of longer distance races where there's no monsters in here. They all sort of just ended up here because they weren't really that good. So
Yeah, I thought this was a kind of a weird race. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Kale. I mean, well, maybe not so much, right? Because I'm always going to bet speed, right? Even if there's like 20 speed horses. Sometimes I end up on a speed horse, but like a horse like Tennessee Lamb, right? Like you would think in an optional claimer like this, like I wouldn't be looking at a dirt horse, here for it. But yeah, I don't know. No one really jumps out the page for me, and yeah, I kind of agree with you, Mark. I mean, one thing I didn't really mention about the 12 that I really do like is it's one of the more lightly raced horses in this field,
yeah,
right? And not just lightly raced horse, but like the form looks good, right? Like four out of six starts, this horse is in the money, right? So this isn't like the horse has been like hopeless and hey, just happened to clunk up for a win or something like that. So,
yep.
so yeah, and that's kind of like I said, why I'm going to be leaning, especially on the 12 Kid Cairo, and then we'll take a shot here with the 6 Tennessee Lamb. Road Warrior saying he got back to swimming, so shout out to Health there. He's got no arm muscle, but he said the arm muscle is for Dylan, one of only 3 current jockeys he respects unconditionally, which somehow is 4 more jockeys than Caleb respects unconditionally. I don't know how that math works out, but
That math checks out.
I'm pretty sure that that's correct. Anything else you guys want to talk about in this race?
The only other horse I thought was a little interesting is the 13, Mutawid, I guess is how you would say the name.
Mhm.
Claim for Mike Maker. He's good first off the claim, albeit his barn has been very, very cold as of late. But Luis Saez is the name jock, so looks like needs a scratch to get in the field. But just Maker first off the claim in a field that doesn't have a lot of talent. That was the only other one. I'm kind of surprised nobody else mentioned that horse. Needs to take a step forward, but oftentimes these Maker horses off the claim going long tend to take that step forward. So,
I mean, that is the Mike Maker recipe, isn't it? Taking a
yeah.
horse and just stretching it out and on turf.
I mean, I kind of preferred the other maker, actually, the 11. I mean, it is kind of second off the trainer switch there, but at least the horse we know likes to go long distances. Didn't the result looks ugly, but again, coming out of that race where nobody could really make up any ground, I think that's a better race than it looks. And you're getting a rider upgrade from Rosario to it doesn't matter. So I think that's pretty nice too.
We got about 4 minutes here before Turfway Park race 8. I don't know. Did you guys take a look at this race at all?
I did, but I don't know if I can. One of you guys who actually plays Turfway talk about it first, and because I can never speak eloquently about Turfway.
I mean, I ended up pretty spread here. I'm playing a pick 3 starting here. I was going to play a pick 4, and luckily I got locked out because I would have gotten boomed. Mark did. And I'm 4 wide in this race, and it doesn't feel great, especially because I am going to be using the favorite or the current favorite here, the 9. But looking at the tote board, I mean, he is going to be favorite, but like, I don't know what the heck is going on. Like, am I crazy? But why is this 12 17 to 1 currently? Like, he should not be 17 to 1. And looking at the doubles, like he should be like 3 to 1. So I don't know if there's just like not any like the late money's not coming in or what's going on.
I'm
Mark,
seeing,
you see something
I'm
on?
seeing more like 7 to 1 come post time. And
Okay.
that 12 was a horse in this race that I really liked. I ended up on 7 and 12. But no, I agree with you completely. The 12 is a horse that I think is very interesting in here. But again, this is another one of those horses, and maybe this is what people are saying is this horse hasn't won in forever. A lot of starts, never quite cashing checks. Albeit gets a touch of class relief here. But again, you oftentimes see a lot of these Turfway horses where they take money on jocks and you have an absolutely ice cold jock up. So there's definitely some questions there, but that's a pretty juicy price.
Yeah, I ended up on 7 8 12 here. And I'm this is just kind of a disgusting pick 3 because I'm 4 by 3, but then I'm singling the 12 in the last. But the 12, I'm expecting he's going to be pretty short in that last race. But Yeah, I really actually like the 12 here. I was gonna actually run back. I'm gonna run back another ticket. I'm gonna press this 12, and I mean 7-1. I'd love. So I'm gonna fire a win bet here on this 12 as well.
What's your pick 3 look like in here, Josh? Because I think we're actually probably pretty similar.
Yeah, I got 7, 8, 9, 12 in this race. I got 4, 7, 8 in race 9.
Okay.
And then I just got the 12 in race 10. What did you end up here in?
I played back at pick 3 because I also got, as I mentioned, I got boomed by the chalk in the last race. So I was 7-12 over 5-8 over 2-12. So just nice little skinny pick 3. Just plan back. It's one of those things you put the effort into capping, and I probably shouldn't play it, but I am.
Yeah, I handicapped this really quickly. And I didn't handicap the last 2 races yet. I'll do that when Mark's rambling about JJ in the next race. But for now, I like the 7. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a sucker for a good Z pattern. And this horse is coming off of a Z pattern triple trip last out. He is getting bet, unfortunately, but I'm keying the 7 on top. I'm playing a little trifecta. I think the 9 has to run her race. I don't like her to win, but I think she hits the board. I don't know that I love the cutback necessarily, but I'm kind of keying the 9 underneath and I'm keying the 7 on top. And I'm trying to splice a couple of like medium priced horses in between there, the 2, 6, 11, 12, and 13. Yeah, but I do agree with you, Josh. The price on the 12 is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the 7. I'm gonna play a little 7, 12 exacta too. But yeah, I thought the 12, like I said, he's shown decent enough. He's close to par level with his 2 efforts. Maybe took a little bit of a step back, but it just didn't seem like he made up any ground. Maybe he was against the track that day. I don't remember how that went, but I thought that first effort on the synthetic was pretty good. Finishing second by a neck. So yeah, I like the 12. The 7. Lightly raced horse, which I always like to see, optional claimers or allowance races or non-winners type races, right? He's only got 5 starts. And he finished 4th last time, but that was by half length in a pretty salty allowance race. So I like him, like I said, kind of running back here. You already called out the Z pattern. I did like the 8 a little bit as kind of a pace factor. If he's kind of able to get out there and get on the lead, maybe he's able to get some pace. And honestly, like the 9 would normally be the type of horse where I'm like, hey, I'm going to single. But man, Gerardo Corrales has not been riding well the last couple of weeks. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he thinks the track's playing differently than it is, or or he's not getting good mounts. I don't know what's going on.
I would love. I don't have it up, because it's Brisnet, but I would love to see his Turfway ROI, because I swear the only winners I've seen have been 3 to 5 Ravelli horses. Like I would just love to see. It's got to be rough. He has not been. I mean, he's always been one of my favorite jocks because of how much he overachieved for a long time. But the pendulum has swung the other way this year.
Yeah, it's been tough. And yeah, like I said, I think one of the, like you said, when he has been winning, they have been, just. I mean, we could have put Mark on the horse and they would have won, so.
Ouch. Is it like pouring down rain at Turfway?
So yes. It looks like it was raining pretty bad here. So. Let's see, they're loading in the gate still. Curious what the other, if any of the other guys are playing here. All right, let's see.
Someone's freaking out.
Yeah, the 6. I think it's at the 6 or the 7.
I think it's the 7.
Maybe you're gonna get another bet back.
I might get 2 trips in a row. He did break okay though. Man, 7-2. That's kind of a shit. I mean, I like the trip angle, but I wouldn't win bet that horse at 7-2. I don't think that's what I would need, which is crazy.
All right, 5 gets out there to the early lead. We got the 7, the 11, and 12 kind of sitting in that second flight. They won 22, which is pretty fast, I think, for a synthetic sprint. I mean, maybe not for this level, but I don't know. I kind of think your 7's hitting the trip, and so is his
He is setting a
12.
good trip. And the money showed up, so. Unfortunately, I don't think I got the 5 underneath anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ahead of me, but
it doesn't matter because the 5's not going to finish underneath us.
Nope. 5 is getting a hella brave.
Wow. I thought the 8 was going to be the one that was going to get out there on the lead, but
yeah, when I glanced at the race, it didn't seem like there was any speed. But the 5 was a speed horse. I was a little turned off by the jock. I mean, 1 for 34, only like 4 times in the money. But yeah, I mean, good ride, excellent ride, by Constantino Roman, and a very typical ride of what we come to expect from Gerardo Corrales on the 9, who never got a call.
Goodness. Yeah, I thought at some point the 7 was just going to get going and blow on past, but that 5 just kept fine. I honestly thought it was going to finish 7:12 at the top of the stretch, and yeah. Ooh, what the heck was that start? Yeah, the 7 did not get the cleanest of starts either. Just showing the replay there, but well, that's why they made the daily double. Oh, I'm looking at Turfway. I was like, what? Race 9 here at Gulfstream Park, the Swale. Right, we're gonna be going 7 furlongs here, and I think this is a race. I was talking to Caleb beforehand, and I was kind of like, Caleb, like I might. There's a chance I could go like 4 or 5 wide in this race, and then Caleb's like, all right, calm down, like. If you believe time form, there's only one horse you need. So Caleb, I'll let you go.
Yeah, the number 6 Gunmetal. If you believe the figure he posted in his debut race, then pretty much everyone else is running for second. And truthfully, I mean, he could run that race back and probably hit the board in the Derby. I mean, if you believe the figure. I don't have enough information to say it's not real. So it's a little bit tough to say. I mean, the first 2 finishers were, 8 lengths clear of the rest of the field. I don't know exactly. I mean, 1, 2, 3 all the way around, the way that it ran. So it's a race I'm normally skeptical of, but the figure is just so overwhelmingly fast on time form and still a standout figure on Brisnet that it could be wrong by 10 points and he would still win this race. So for me, I think Gunmetal is your horse. You get, a rider upgrade to Saez because Flo is probably, picking Daisy somewhere or something like that. Saez is going to put this horse in the race. And I just think he's got a good outside, post, although his main rival is to his outside, which is maybe not ideal. But I think it's Gunmetal, and he's going to be a lone A for me. I probably won't have any Bs in this race. The only horse I'm going to probably have on a C flyer ticket is probably going to be the number 3, Mater D, who might be the longest shot in the field, or maybe second longest shot, depending how they bet it. Doug O'Neill horse wins at a big number, first time out at Turfway. Was up on the pace and was super wide in a race that absolutely fell apart. So I thought that was a kind of a surprisingly strong race. Doug O'Neill doesn't often ship to Gulfstream or East Coast at all for that matter. So I thought it was a little bit curious that he did decide to ship this horse and that Johnny V takes the mount. And he's also kind of the only closer in the race. So I thought there was a few things to like about Mater D. Certainly needs to improve, but if for whatever reason Gunmetal doesn't fire or gets cooked in some suicide pace battle up front, Mater D is the only other horse that I have any interest in.
Mark?
Yeah, I saw the race much the same as Caleb. Gunmetal is much the horse to be. If you believe that time form fig, the horse wins by, a country mile. And also Brad Cox is really good with these kind of moves. He's got a 45% strike rate with second time starters in non-graded stakes over the past 5 years with a $3.35 ROI. So this is a move that he is very good at. And it's really hard to pick that one apart. It just, seems like all systems go. The only other horse I was a little interested in is what's probably going to be your second choice, and that's the 2 Donut God, for Brian Lynch. A horse that is undefeated, 2 for 2 lifetime, won a stakes at Tampa. I don't know what the company really was, but it looks like the second place horse, Naughty Rascal, did come back to win. So that's always a good sign that, the race might not have been terrible, as I think we've kind of historically think of a lot of these Tampa races being. And also, Gaffleon up for Lynch is, we're talking about gaudy stats. In the last year, 55% with a $4.43 ROI. So I don't think you're going to get any price here. But I thought Donut God was the only other horse that really made sense. And beyond that, it feels like, I don't know, somebody's got to take a pretty big step forward to compete with either of those two. And it would be like an A, B, or an AC for me with the two of them.
Yeah, I look at Brisnet first and foremost, and it's funny because on Brisnet, a lot of these horses look the same. And it's even funnier because on Prime Power they got the high figure there, probably because he won a listed stakes out. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of had a hard. I mean, I do trust Timeform. I haven't looked at Timeform yet, so my guess is that most of my money is going to go through the 6, if not all of it. You guys didn't give a look to the 7 Grayscale, especially with the way Saffy's been running the last couple weeks, and gets IRAD aboard.
It's not that I don't think that horse can't win, because he certainly can. It's just that if I like Gunmetal, I'm not using Grayscale. I just think that's a terrible value proposition there, and I think Gunmetal's better. I don't know that I necessarily think it's going to be 7-5, 9-5, but it is Florida and it's Gulfstream IRAD. In my opinion, if you're betting the figures and you're betting the form without the name, so to speak, the 6 is 3-5 and the 7 is 2-1. I don't think it'll be quite that much of a disparity, but I just think they're going to be too close in price, and I don't think they're that close in ability personally. So he could win, but it's IRAD on speed for a horse that really beat nothing in that debut effort. So for me, just the price won't be right for me to go there, but he could win.
I just think that there's a pretty big gap there, in all honesty, at least on what we've seen so far. Can a Saffy horse take a big step forward? Yeah, sure, that does happen, but I kind of see that same as Caleb does.
I mean, if you believe the time for him, just to put that into perspective, there's a bigger speed gap between the 6 and the 7 than there is the 7 and the slowest horse in the race.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, going this trip, there's about I don't know, a 10 length difference between the 6 and the 7. So off their first race, and again, different tracks, everything else, yada yada. Figs aren't perfect, but
no, fair enough. I'm very proud of you, Mark. You didn't try and make a case for the 1.
He's going to use him. He should make a case for it.
He's probably gonna be like, I looked at it for about 5 minutes and I just couldn't get there. Mark,
I got nothing.
Race 10, Kitten's Joy, $65,000 listed stakes here. We're gonna be going a mile and 16th on the turf. We got a field of 8. Mark, where did you land?
Yeah, another race that I thought was a little bit tough. I ended up, and again, this race is probably a little flatter morning line wise than some of the the early some of the earlier races. I kind of like 3 in here. I really sort of like the but again, I guess I should say I like 3, but there's nobody in here I really loved. But I thought the 2 Charlie's to Blame says up for Urton. Was a horse that fits here pretty well. Last out maiden breaker, first time versus winners is always a little sketchy, but I don't think there's any monsters in here. And seemed a little bit interesting. Other one would be Maui Strong, the 3 with Hunyurup. Again, I think Josh has talked about this in depth, where Vinny off is probably the best move up angle in horse racing, and so you're getting that here at 8-1 on a horse that has some, has basically taken a step forward in every single one of his races, and has every right to kind of do so here again. And the other horse I thought was a little bit interesting was the 8 Mabago for Cassie, a horse that has won 2 in a row. Does have a win going, a half furlong shorter on this course, and gets Dylan Davis, who is riding as good as anybody else is right now. Again, this is a race that I didn't have a really strong conviction. I sort of ended up with 3 A's, but I could probably make a case for almost anybody else in the race. So kind of interesting to see how you guys saw it. I didn't really have a great feel for this one.
Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, just before I go any further, I mean, how about Dylan Davis? I mean, how about Dylan Davis? Like, the guy has been unbelievable all year. We all talked about a Saratoga meet, kind of wondering if he'd be able to, hell, even continue that into Aqueduct, much less go down to Florida and be one of the top riders at a very competitive circuit with a lot of local connections that, guys who don't really ship out, your Jaramillos, Paco Lopez. Well, he's not riding, but, the point being is it's a tough place to go down and, without really the connections. And he's been phenomenal. That being said, I think he's usable in here, but he's not my top pick. I think he's fine. There was 2 horses I did kind of like in here. The one I'll probably start with, I guess, is the number 6, who I think is probably your likeliest winner, Test Score. This horse is coming out of the listed stakes race on Breeders' Cup weekend, and what I believe was an AE that day, if I remember correctly, and drew into the field and was parked out way in the parking lot, which at Del Mar, with the tight turns and the short run up, is pretty difficult. So I had a wide trip, was trying to close into a relatively tepid pace, and just barely got beat by a horse in Chasing Liberty, who came back to repeat and win again. That whole race was actually pretty productive. There's been a couple of next out winners from there, or two out winners anyway. So I think that, Gaffley up for motion on Test Score is certainly one that I want a lot of money going through. The other one I kind of liked, who'll be a much bigger price, is actually I guess it's the other Cassie, the number 5, Walking in Memphis. Probably a horse I imagine might be hiding on one of Josh's tickets somewhere, because when I kind of looked at this race, I didn't see a ton of speed. There's a couple of horses who might go, like Marks 2, for example, with Saya's up, is likely to probably try to go early. But Walking in Memphis is probably the quickest horse in the race. Went 22-4 for an opening quarter at a mile at Gulfstream, and was able to see out the trip at first asking. Was pretty green that day. Didn't really race all that professionally, so I think it does speak volumes that he was able to still get the job done. And Cassie has 2 others in here, yet sees fit to throw Walking in Memphis, into so to speak, the deep end here into stakes company and only his second career start. So he's one that certainly needs to improve quite a bit off that debut effort. But I thought his debut effort was very good. I mean, he was able to, cut honest fractions and hold on in a race where closers did run, second and fourth, coming from pretty far back. So I think the pace was honest. He has a lot of upside left, and I think the price will be right. So he's one that I like a little bit, along with Test Score.
Okay, I gotta ask two random questions here. Doesn't Graham Motion being 0 for 23 give you a little bit of pause? I mean, I realize he's had 6 of them in the money, but it seems like his barn is pretty cold. And also, isn't your 5 horse just the setup horse for the 7 in the Cassie barn?
For the Graham Motion question, it is a concern. I'm not a handicapper that probably puts as much weight into jockey trainer or streakiness as others, but it certainly is a concern. I mean, if Graham Motion was hitting at 36%, this horse might be a single for me, but because he's not, he's more of an A with some other A's and B's behind him. As far as the setup horse, I suppose it's possible. I'm not sure that Cassie is going to take a West Point thoroughbreds horse and just rabbit him out there, especially when Cassie's other horse, for Gary Barber, I mean, is one of his primary owners, appears to have the same run style, or at least, when he's successful, he has the same run style in Mibago in the number 8. His only 3 wins have come 3 of his 4 wins, excuse me, have come in gate to wire fashion. So I mean, it could be, but it isn't like the 7 is like hopelessly one paced. So I just don't think he's in here just to ensure a pace scenario. Could be wrong, but I'll take a shot anyway.
Yeah, I singled in this race, and I went with the 8 Mibago, which depends on the translation. Could be my pay, could be my lazy person. There's a lot of different translations for that, but yeah, I think that this is a horse that was able to break his maiden on the dirt, but I really think the last 3 of the last 4 on turf or synthetic, it looked pretty good, and you mentioned the speed in this race, talking about the 5 walking in Memphis. I I don't know. I mean, he did go faster, but this is a horse that was pretty forwardly placed on the turf in the sprint, 5 furlongs there at Woodbine. So I do think that this is a horse that's going to be forwardly placed. Gets Dylan Davis aboard. I do see that Road Warrior takes credit for knowing Dylan Davis was good 6 years ago. So he says he's the only jockey in horse racing who rides out for all payout positions, which all of them should be doing. So he appreciates Dylan always riding hard, and yeah, I think that this is the horse to beat in here. I'm getting 4-1. It's gonna be my lone A. It's gonna be a single for me. I don't know, a horse like the 7, cool. Not really interested in. He's at 9-2 test score. I mean, test score is fine, but I don't know. I thought kind of maybe should have taken a step forward. And this is the first race at 3, coming off a bit of a layoff. Maybe might be one that needs one. I mean, motion is fine. Off the layoff, 90 days. He's 19%. I don't know. I tried to make a case for the 2. Charlie's to blame. I thought he was maybe a little interesting. Drawn inside with a little bit of speed. Went wire to wire last time out. Gets guys aboard, so he might be one that I use as maybe a B type. But I don't know. I really like the 8 Mibago. I think I'm gonna have most of my money through that. Maybe I'll use a little bit of the 2 Charlie's to blame, but I think that's all I need in this race.
I mean, this wasn't a horse I had any interest in. So is it just a miss on the morning line, or are all of us just against the ultimate favorite, number 4, Tiz Dashing? I mean, this horse on time form is way too slow. I mean, one of the slowest horses maybe the slowest horse in the race, quite honestly. So, I mean, Barclay tag, not a guy that I associate with turf horses or with horses that can really ship. I mean, this horse isn't going to go off 5-2, is he?
No way.
I mean, what do we think? 6-1?
Yeah, I was saying more like 8-1 probably. I think there's probably 4, 6, 8-1, that kind of range. There's just a million reasons not to. I don't know what the upside is here, and I don't understand the morning line unless I'm missing something. But I don't think all 3 of us are missing something. I think it's just a terrible morning line and a horse that I don't know how you get there. I just don't know how you get there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a horse that needs to take a pretty big step forward off of those 2 efforts. And we've talked about a little bit about like aqueduct numbers, like those late fall numbers. Like I don't know, I have a hard time getting there. I'm very surprised that they made this the morning line favorite. I think 5, 6, 7-1. That area is probably about right for this horse. But yeah, 5-2 I thought was pretty wild. I think maybe a horse I wouldn't be surprised if either the 6 or the 7 kind of ends up being your favorite in here. I mean, heck, I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly think the 8 probably should be your favorite. But we'll see. We'll see what the betting public kind of thinks on this one. But I want no part of the 4. I mean, I would probably want double digits before I would bet that horse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the horse either. Only other horse I liked a little bit was the 3 Maui Strong. I mean, if you throw out the race that was washed off the turf on the synthetic, he says he was washy, his head turned at the start. race was kind of dominated on the front end that day. I mean, I think you can make a case that's a throughout race for him. And Dale Romans has rediscovered how to train a racehorse and has been red hot at Gulfstream this year. And to Mark's point, you got Vinny
It's
off. So yeah, I agree.
No,
I mean, he's.
have you
he's
seen him? He looks trim.
He's slimmed down. He looks
trim, dude. Like
he was a big boy, and he's much less of a big boy now.
Maybe. I mean, I know his love of cracklins, right? But I mean, those are low carb, right? There's no. I mean, if he's on Atkins or low carb, he can eat all the cracklins he wants.
Cracklins and Ozempic. You're saying that's the sign to lose.
That might be the key. Maybe that's my problem.
You're right there.
Maybe that's why I'm stalling out. Right, I haven't had enough cracklins. Right,
You got to introduce the cracklins, dude.
Go straight to the get the pork rinds in. We got 6 minutes to post here to race 9 at Turfway Park, and I'm already looking, and I think I might have to play this double, but let me see what these payouts are looking like here. They're not terrible. To the 12. I mean, the 12 is definitely going to be your favorite next race. I mean, he's going to be very short. But I don't know, you guys doing anything here?
I mean, I feel like I'm obligated to. I'm going to probably play a little 5-8 over 212 double.
Honestly, so the 5 right now is your favorite. He's 8-5 right now. And I mean, we've besmirched Gerardo Corrales like crazy. And Bill Morey is hitting at 8% right now at Turfway Park. So this is like
two negative
cold on top of cold. Right. This is I mean, as cold as you can get, right? You got cold on cold. Like, this should just be absolutely the fade of the century here. Now looking at the doubles, it looks like the 8 is probably going to end up your favorite. I see the 7 is a little bit shorter than the 5, but we were a little bit wrong. I mean, the 2 actually is kind of short too here in the doubles. So I don't know, I kind of like this 4 a little bit. Granted, right, I'm looking at the dirt races, and now it's going to be second time on synthetic, and right, you got a 4% jock aboard, right? So I think you do need a bit of a price, and right now you're getting all 15-1. So I think I'm getting my price here.
I could, I don't win bet a ton. I should win bet more, but if this 8 stays at 4-1, I think that's a win bet. If it goes to 3-1, I think it's a win bet. I just think he's a very likely winner in this race, and I think the 5 is kind of your takeout reducer. I'm probably going to put him in the winner circle, but he's moving up in class to a barn that's been cold with a rider that's been doing poor, coming off of a pretty cozy trip. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to play against that horse. So I think that the 8 is the horse I'd much rather have of the shorter prices. And I know he doesn't win a ton, but I thought the 6 looked a little bit interesting as well, maybe a touch.
All right. I got a 4, 7, 8, 12 double. I got 1x to the 4, I got 2x to the 7, I got 3x to the 8. So
ooh, you're getting fancy.
I think I got that Dutch decently enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm much heavier to the 4, but I figure at that price, right? We'll take we'll take the overpay there on the double there, but
I like it.
we got 3 minutes to post here. All right. While they're just getting on the track, so we got some time. So why don't we go ahead and move ahead to the 11th race at Gulfstream Park? Got the Holy Bull Stakes. We got a grade 3, and Derby points on the line. Obviously, here we got 7 horses, so not as big of a field as we had at. I mean, it's a much bigger field than we got over in Santa Anita, but we don't have necessarily a Florida Derby type field here, but 9-5 favorite is the 2 Ferocious. Mark, is this your single here? I mean,
Nope,
it's
didn't use.
JJ. It's JJ. What?
I have a single here. It's just not the 2.
Do we have the same single?
Is it?
Is it the 3?
No, no, we don't, Josh.
Okay. I'm singling the 4 Guns Loaded. I honestly don't. I mean, hey, we got an E8, right? We got all 3 cherries here. I mean, maybe we have to erase a cherry because it's got Irad aboard because he's like a negative cherry.
Like knock off a stem at least, you know.
Knock off a stem, but it will knock a stem off there. But yeah, I don't know. This just looked like, I mean, this is just like a super well meant horse. I mean, obviously they bought this horse for $800,000, right? Like this is not a horse that you're buying thinking, hey, let's run this thing at Gulfstream Park for cheap prices here. Like they had Derby in mind with this horse. Gun Runner on top, Bernardini on bottom. Obviously very, very nicely bred. Gun Runner standing for 250,000. So obviously this is a horse that very, very well thought of. And honestly, on debut, finished second by 5 lengths. Had a bit of a weird start there at Saratoga, but came right back to $120,000 maiden race. Went wire to wire there, won by open lengths, and won the Mucho Macho Man Stakes by open length or by neck, but going wire to wire there. So it's got to run over the track, and gets Jose D'Angelo does very, very well here at Gulfstream Park. Obviously gets Irad aboard. They're hitting at 32%. And honestly, like surprisingly for such an early Derby prep, I mean the 7 had some speed, but he only showed that speed obviously going to 2 turns. But I don't really think we have that much speed in this race. Like this is like sprinter speed, 6 furlong speed, 1 turn mile speed, where the rest is like 2 turn speed. So kind of surprised that especially for an early Gulfstream race that we don't have a ton of speed here. But I don't know. I just see that this is a horse that's going to go wire to wire and win. And yeah, I don't want a part of any other horse. I'm going to take my chances here with the 4 Guns Loaded. Caleb, where did you land?
Yeah, I kind of think your 4's a rat. I don't think he can get this distance, and I know he's bred for it, but goodness gracious, at 7-5 with the candy ass trip you could ever hope for, he was life and death to hold off a bunch of mediocre horses. I just don't see it for him here. Irad is probably a downgrade on this horse, as he is a horse that, for all we know, needs the lead, and there is a bit of other speed in here. But even if he gets it, Irad's just not the guy that I ever want on a speed horse. He gave up 2 lengths 2 starts ago and 3 lengths last out while stretched out to a mile. This is his first 2-turn test, and despite the pedigree, he just doesn't strike me as one who's really showing me on the track that he wants 2 turns and a mile and a 16th. Maybe at Gulfstream the speed can carry him there, but he's not one that I really need, I don't think. I don't know that I have a single per se, but it's probably a single A, which I'm assuming is the same one as Mark, who is the number 3 Tappan Street. So I think this is the horse that is your most likely winner. I'll be ecstatic if we can get 3-1 on this horse. I mean, that would be just wonderful.
There's no way.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think he's probably 9-5, 8-5.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if you believe time form, he's the horse that you want. He is essentially the fastest horse in the race, or near thereabouts anyway. And he has the right run style. He's a horse that there isn't a ton of speed in this race. So the way I sort of envision this race setting up is that probably Burning Glory does go to the front. Burnham Square maybe presses, maybe not. But I think that Tappan Street definitely presses and gets that sit second type of trip. And I just think he's going to have more left in the tank turning for home. So Tappan Street's one who I think is your most likely winner in here. The only other horse that I want anything to do with is the 6 Burning Glory. I don't think he'll get 8-1 on that horse either. And I don't know if this is the right race for him, given the pace setup and the fact that it is at Gulfstream. But this is a horse that probably runs third in this race with a big closing kick, just trying to do too much into a slow pace. But he's one that I would be looking out for later on because I do think this horse has ability and a step forward with each start, and looks primed to step forward again. So he's one that I don't know if this race sets up for him, but I do think the ability is there.
Yeah, I very much agree with Caleb here on the 3. And I think I've been accused more than once, and probably very rightfully so, of chasing jocks a little too aggressively, and jockey moves on horses. But I think when you get to this time of year and you have jockeys, especially in these real early Derby preps, they're trying to figure out who's my Derby mount, like what horse am I going to be, most likely to win me a Kentucky Derby with. And I think it tells you quite a lot that Saez gets off from guns loaded, and hops onto Tappan Street or stays on Tappan Street. I think that last out performance was really good. That horse definitely has a pedigree to get this 2-turn distance. And I agree with Caleb. I think the horse just kind of sits a perfect trip. There's speed drawn inside. There's some speed drawn outside. Probably sits just behind, some of the, probably sits that, pocket trip. I think the really only question mark is, can he go around 2 turns? And if he can get around 2 turns, he's very much the horse to beat in here. I know Caleb's talked about others. The only the ones I would want a little bit of a savor to, Caleb already mentioned Burning Glory, who's what I'd want to savor to. The other one would be the 7 Burnham Square, who I don't know where that last race came from, but it seems like that was a pretty big step forward for this horse. And, I don't know if this is just the case of this was kind of finally taking that little bit of a step forward, getting a little bit older. But that maiden breaker was a pretty nice effort. So it wouldn't be a shocker. And maybe it's just a Gulfstream Park horse for course kind of thing. So that's the only other horse I would want a little bit going through, but I would probably have 90 or 95% of my money going through Tappan Street here.
I did see Big Chief Rasta decided to join us. What's up, Big Chief? How are you doing? He says, "What's up, guys? Hope you're all doing well." We are doing well, although Caleb is drinking apparently some very bad wine. What wine? What are you drinking? Wait, was it actually? Did you have to use a wine opener, or was it a screw top?
I used a wine opener. It is a Dorn Cab Sav from California. So it is like $18 wine. So
Ooh, that's too expensive for me.
I mean, to me, like 20 to 25 is kind of the sweet spot. 20 to 30. When you get above that, I just feel like I can't tell the difference unless I'm spending 200. And, but I can tell the difference from barefoot.
Yeah. Yeah, I always love telling the story about us going out to dinner and Mark
Vegas.
and
Mark
and them getting whatever like the special wine was, and it was like $150 a bottle or something. And it's like, what kind of fucking special was that? There was like $120 bottle of wine. Like, what the hell? I love French wine. I've just come to realize like I really like French wine. Like that's my thing. I mean, I love champagne like and sparkling wine in general, but just like French wine, like Beaujolais and Côte d'Aron, the stuff from that area, like just love it. Burgundies. I mean, just I don't know. It just they're just easy to drink and just enjoyable. It's just the best way I can describe. They're just enjoyable to drink. Gamay and Grenache, like those types of grapes. Like it's just enjoyable to drink. You don't have to like think about it, right? You don't have to worry about like barnyard and all those other weird, freaking flavors. But yeah, I'm a big
I'm
French
currently
wine guy.
drinking a cheap Côte d'Aron, so
Yeah, and it's great because it's like, hey, like $15, $20 will get you a pretty decent bottle.
This was like 12,
so,
really reasonable. And it's not the best wine that's ever been there, but man, you can don't have to spend a lot, you get just really good quality, all the respect in the world.
Yeah. And we won't talk about what just happened at Turfway because the 2-wire that race. I did not see that happening. So but yeah, it's interesting. I'm actually a little shocked, that we were so different here. I definitely thought that Mark would be on the chalk and I'd be the lone dissenter on the 4, but you guys are Yeah, you guys are kind of all over the place.
I mean,
so
I think Tappan Street will be the chalk. Truthfully, I know Ferocious kind of
Okay.
has the name recognition, but he hasn't taken that step forward that
Nope.
we always look for. And maybe he does it at 3, but the fact that he didn't improve at all in 4 starts at 2 really kind of suggests to me that he was just a very precocious 2-year-old who maybe freaked over a sloppy track or muddy track. He hasn't been able to really stretch out. He hasn't been able to run back to his debut race. And this isn't a Cox or a Chad or a Pletcher or a Baffert. I mean, Gustavo Delgado is fine, but he's not the kind of name that's going to attract all the money. So I tend to think he may not even be the favorite in here. And a horse like Tappan Street may actually take more money, or your horse, Josh, Guns Loaded, may take more money. I don't think Ferocious will be the favorite, though.
Stephen Fox saying he's drinking a very expensive Code Red.
Why are we friends with him?
I don't know. And I will tell you, Mark, I have it on good authority. I know you're saying that Luis Saez jumps off, but man, Jose D'Angelo loves the Ortiz brothers. Just loves them like part of the family. So I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't not necessarily like, hey, Luis, like we don't need you anymore, but hey, Luis, if you want to get a different mount, we're cool.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if he had a suspect ride or something, but I mean, he was second, first, and he won a black type stakes, and then you pop off. I mean, maybe it's just he took the Cox mount. I mean, maybe, but it just feels a little. Yeah.
Jose D'Angelo's such a nice guy. I've talked to him.
He's such
before,
a nice dude.
He's a
yeah,
very, very nice
I've
guy.
talked to him at Saratoga. What a nice guy.
Yeah. All right. Race 12, the 4 gal, 7 furlongs here on the main track, and we got a field here of 11. Your line favorite is going to be the 9 Rojo Rita, Stunner at 4-1, Eclatant at 9-2, the Queen's MG at 5-1, Justin Queso, in case you need a little bit of cheese, apparently, at 8-1 there, and you get double digits on everybody else. And Caleb, I know you and I talked. I had a pretty hard time with this race, and I was kind of going back and forth on kind of where I wanted to go here. The 2-1 favorite here, Rojo Rita, won by 16 lengths first time out, and I've talked about this on other streams or podcasts and stuff, and it's like whenever I see that, a lot of people are like, oh, like what an impressive effort, like what that's really good. But sometimes for me, especially when it's on the front end, I tend to just think bias. And I mean, like, hey, it's Gulfstream Park, like surprise, right? Speed bias, but like winning by 16 lengths on the front end like that, like I don't know, like this is either like what did time form? Did time form just like absolutely like adore that fig, or is that just like because even Brisnet didn't have it that fast.
I mean, it's a good figure, but it's not the best figure in the race. Time form has the Queen MG with a few of her 2-year-old races. It's a little bit faster.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, Stunner is the horse with that fastest fig. I didn't scroll down.
Stunner.
Oh, the 11.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't know what to do with Stunner. Stunner was the horse that I kind of had a big old question mark on because, right, like what's up with the cutback on this horse? Right? I mean, you would think.
Well,
go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say that the figures didn't come back crazy fast for that last race, and I'm really wondering, isn't kind of a cutback probably what Stunner needs? I mean, isn't this probably a 7 furlong? That very talented 1-turn type of horse. I think this is probably the right move with Stunner.
Yeah, but it probably is the right move. But how often do we see these people make the wrong move? You know what I mean? Like how often do we see these guys?
I think you see certain trainers or certain connections get Derby fever. I just wonder if this is a case where they're taking that, realistic expectations of, okay, we don't have a classic distance horse. Let's cut him back and let's just clean house with some of these 1-turn races. I don't know. Cox Barnes loaded. It's always loaded. Maybe. You could be right.
I just thought the cutback was suspicious. I thought the cutback was suspicious because I think if you try this horse going 2 turns, obviously it's Gervin, right? So and Gervin seems to be more of a 1-turn type of sire, but still, like, I don't know. You usually see these connections, like, give it more than 1 shot going 2 turns, especially when you finish second by a neck, right? So that was suspect to me. Tyler gets aboard, and him and Brad are 0 for 5 the last couple times that they've been hooking up. So I didn't really know what to do with the 11. I think, Caleb, I don't think you like the 11. I think we talked briefly beforehand that you weren't a huge fan of that one.
Yeah, I don't dislike the horse. I just think there was serious regression going from the New York races to the Florida race. The horse lost it 2 to 5. That's a tough one for me to swallow. The cutback probably. I do think the cutback helps. I kind of get it now that I look at it more. But I mean, to maybe pull a Mark angle a little bit, the jockey carousel kind of bugs me on this one. I mean, a lot of Pratt's routine riders are here. I mean, Saez is here. Zayas jumps off. Dylan is here. And he goes to Gaff, who hasn't been on the horse and doesn't usually get, some of the better Cox mounts. I mean, Saez gets the other Cox in here, who I think is maybe the one you want a little more. But I mean, the wide post, there's, again, the horse can win, but what probably going to be second or third choice is probably not my favorite.
Yeah. I kind of ended up on 2 horses. I ended up on the 7, Eclatant. And maybe this is, I think this is the Brad Cox that I kind of liked a little bit more. Now, granted, last time, did take a kind of a step back. First time 2 turns at Churchill. But I do think, coming to Gulfstream, it got laid up for a little bit. Looks to be working decently, right? You look at some of the works, it looks like the last 3 have been kind of maintenance works, but did fire a bullet, 4 back. So my guess is the horse is in pretty good order here coming into this race. You get Luis Saez aboard. This is going to be a horse that's going to want to be forwardly placed. Does have good speed. So I like the 7, Eclatant here. I mean, the 2, the Queen's MG is probably my top pick in here. I mean, surprise, right? I'm taking the Safi horse. But you kind of put a line through the spinaway. Obviously it's a muddy track. And sometimes horses just even if they're bred for the mud, just don't like the mud. So kind of just cross the line through that. Obviously at Aqueduct, finished there was kind of a fast pace in front and chased a little bit, but didn't really make up much ground. In fact, lost a little bit of ground. But I don't know, that Adirondack was just such a good race. I'm willing to just give this horse another shot.
Adirondack.
Sorry. Adirondack was, dude. It's bad when Mark is.
That's a tough look, Josh. I can't.
That's a very tough look. It's so bad. But I don't know. I like the cutback here. I like coming back to, obviously. I mean, the Aqueduct is the 1-turn mile, but I like the 7 furlong move here. You go back to the 6.5 furlong, 6 furlong races. Obviously, those all fit the Schuylerville. Schuylerville, Mark, the Schuylerville, I know. But
we're gonna make you say the double plural instead of Glens Falls. Come on now.
The Glens Falls, yeah. But yeah, I like the cutback here. I mean, I think everyone's gonna like the cutback here. I don't see 5 to 1 on this horse, but I don't know, maybe everyone sees the Brad Cox horses and maybe people get crazy. But Queen's MG I think is my top pick here, and then I'm gonna take another shot with Eclatant here on the cutback. Caleb.
Yeah, I can be quick on this one. I agree with you, Josh. I like Eclatant probably on top. Just maybe tried to go a little too far, a little too soon last time in the Goldenrod, but now cuts back. Again, I think it's telling that Saez, who, without Pratt being in town, he is Cox's kind of go-to rider here. It ends up on this horse instead of Stunner. I think Eclatant has a little more versatility and is just really better suited for this kind of a race. And the Queen's MG for the reasons you mentioned. I think you can excuse the Tempted last out where she was really wide, trying to close into a day when it was hard to make up ground. And then two back, caught a muddy track, went way too fast, and lost to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner Immersive. So I don't see any shame there. I think the Queen's MG is probably going to be a bit of an underlay given her name recognition with Irad and Safi, but I think she's one that I do need on a ticket. And that's pretty much all that I had. I'll admit I don't like this sequence because there's two horses, one of whom is Rojo Rita in this race, the other being Gunmetal in the race 2 or 3 back in the swale, I think it was, who are either single or stone cold singles if you believe the very limited data you have. But there just isn't much of a way for me to validate what I'm seeing on these horses, and I just feel like I'm going in there kind of unprepared. Rojo Rita, you win by 16 lengths, and you weren't even the favorite. I don't know what to do with you. Mark, what'd you do?
Didn't use.
Okay.
Rojo Rita is the favorite.
I meant wasn't the favorite in her debut race.
Oh, yeah, Rita is the morning line favorite in this race, and I just think there's a fair bit of class in this race. This race did not come up like super soft or anything, and I think it's a big ask that first time versus winners. You're not, Rojo Rita is not going to have it all her own way on the front end. There are horses that can hear that I think can go with her. So, I think it's a very different pace complexion, a very different scenario. And I've seen this story one too many times with horses like Rojo Rita that have that flashy win. But they finally run into some good horses, and at a short price, the wheels kind of come off, or I don't know, whatever. Not necessarily the wheels come off, but they it's not as impressive. It's not as much of an overlay as last time out. I saw this race very much the same as you guys did. Shockingly, the Queen's MG was very, very good to me in the Schuylerville and the Adirondacks. So I'm going back to that. Well, I think the off track and the spin away, you just kind of draw a line through that. And that Tempted was sort of an odd spot. I figured Safi would have just turned this one out for the winner and kind of cranked up for a 3-year-old campaign. That Tempted beginning in November was just sort of an interesting spot. Got beat by Stunner. I think there's a number of reasons there. I think this is probably really a horse that this is the right trip. This little bit of a cut back to 7. And I really, really like the Queen's MG in here. And I'm kind of hoping for that sort of 5-1, that 5-1 sort of price point. I think that feels very good in here. And I think I was a little higher on Stunner. I think Stunner is my second choice in here. Just off, I do like the cutback angle on this one. I think this one's probably cutting back to the proper distance. I think this is a situation where Brad Cox is just taking a realistic take on what he has for a horse. So I think either the Queen's MG or Stunner gets it done, although I do massively prefer the Queen's MG, who I don't know. There's that whole adage of horses that don't owe you anything, and Queen's MG after that 44-1 win owes me nothing. So,
all right. Anything else on this card?
Nothing for me. Like I mentioned on last stream, I think it was. I get real excited once we get to like Risen Star weekend, like the first, 50-point prep or 100-point? 50-point prep, I think, which is always Louisiana. Like that's kind of when my Derby fever peaks. These races are cute, but I don't know that we're going to see these horses come first Saturday in May, and you made me cap Gulfstream 2 weeks in a row. So,
yeah, I think I don't really get excited until you get to that final round of preps where it's sort of Arkansas Derby, Florida Derby, all of those sort of races. I've never been a huge fan of the whole Derby prep and how invested the industry gets into it. It's always, I think everybody had, given the fact that we do follow the sport, we're very active on it. You do sort of have to have your Derby horse, and you sort of have to kind of follow the scene. So I'm still in kind of slow-mo skiing mode and kind of not paying a huge amount of attention to horse racing. But hopefully I'll find my Derby horse and be ready here in a couple weeks.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Caleb, next week we're probably going to be doing Tampa.
I got a thing.
Hey, 2 weeks. We're 2 weeks away from Risen Star. So and then
What did
we'll
Caleb
get
do to
into.
piss you off? Like, is there something
Well, I
like?
mean, there's just not really much next week. Next week we got the Sam F. Davis.
Ooh.
Who won that race last year? Who's ever won that race?
Didn't King Guillermo win that race?
Yeah, King Guillermo won that race.
I thought he won the Tampa Derby.
He also won that race.
Did he win both?
Maybe he didn't win both.
Oh,
Maybe
No
he
More
just won
Time won it.
You cheated. There's no way you knew that.
Who? I've never
Yeah,
heard.
exactly.
No More Time. He finished second in the Tampa Bay Derby.
Does he ever run again?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Ran second in the Tampa Bay Derby and didn't run again.
He ran second to the closer. That was actually half decent, right?
Domestic product.
Yeah. Chad
was it
Wild, half
domestic
decent.
product? Okay.
Yeah, he literally. I don't even see any like workout info on him, so he must be done.
You know who did have a workout today?
Who?
Nisos.
Oh, baby.
Like the first one in like a year. He had a published work today.
Oh, baby. All right. I'm going to give you guys till 2017. So the year before I started following horse racing. All right. I want you guys to name me 3 winners of the Sam F. Davis that are not No More Time.
I couldn't name you 3 horses that ran it.
Prior to 2017?
No, prior to 2024. So 2023.
Okay, King Guillermo. Or no, he didn't win.
Guillermo did not win.
No,
he
didn't
win
win
it.
a second. I have no idea.
One.
Did Tassis run in that race?
One actually ran at Ascot.
Classic Causeway?
Classic Causeway won the 2022 Sam F. Davis. Another one, I believe, was trained by a guy who was very famous for using snake venom.
Diamond Dupes?
Wait, maybe not.
I was thinking of what's his face?
It is Sole Volante. Was Sole Volante? Was that also
Sole Volante? I went the wrong way. Yeah, so I had the right trainer, but the wrong horse.
Is that the right trainer? Okay,
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay, here I'll just give them to you guys. So in 2017, McCracken.
Wow.
Won. Then 2018 was Flame Away.
Okay,
dude, the 2019 version of the Sam F. Davis is pretty good. 2018 Flame Away, Catholic Boy, and Vino Rosso.
That actually was pretty good.
That's
they just took 3 years to mature.
Bluegrass Cat won that race. That's a And
Ocean
then I
Knight.
go back through history and I can't name another horse in here.
Candyman Rocket. Yeah. Okay, maybe this isn't.
Is that the horse that won you the bourbon bet?
No, that was Rocket Can.
Okay, it was a rocket something. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be a fun. Maybe, we'll have fun. Might not be fun for Caleb, but we'll have fun. But all right, well, that's gonna do it for us here. Obviously, check us out at ontherwronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. We got a bunch of stuff up. Just put up a new episode of Drinking Champagne. We got an episode of You've Got to Be Shot Tinning Me. They're running tonight. So if you want to get some shot tin bets in now, you should probably get them in there before you go to bed, because I don't know who's going to be up to watch that here, but a lot of good stuff. And we'll be getting more and more. Oh, we see you. Fortnite is fun. You said you like Volatile Exacta Box 8-9. Where is that at? 8-9. What race are you looking at? Who is 8-9?
That's the last race.
Oh, yeah.
He likes the 8-horse Volatile with 9
Rojo.
Volatile is a horse that I have is too slow on figures, but it's coming out of a race where the winner and the third place horse came back to win again, and locally based and gets a rider upgrade. There's worse 20-to-1s. if you don't think the shippers are coming in live.
What who's the winner of that race last time out? Miss World or Mrs. World? I mean, that looks like a key race.
Yeah, that was Mrs. Worldwide.
Mrs. Worldwide and some Cleopatra horse.
She came back to win a listed the Sandpiper at Tampa.
Oh well, that doesn't count.
No, it doesn't really. And then Bella Cleopatra came out to win a Florida bred allowance race at Gulfstream.
All right. Yeah, worst 20-1. So good luck there. Fortnite is fun. Hopefully you're able to get that. I mean, hey, that should pay pretty decent because we'll see what price that 9 goes off at, but the 8's definitely going to be probably the longest price in that race. But yep, on thewronglead.com at wrong_lead on Twitter. Yeah, just hit us up on Twitter. We're gonna be getting, like I said, more and more content out as Derby season starts coming out. We're gonna be revisiting some of our other videos that we've done, and we're gonna come back with some of the what is it, handicapping 3 ways videos where we each look at a race and kind of handicap it in a couple different ways that we look at races and go a little bit deeper into our process. So check that out. Obviously on YouTube, make sure you guys like, subscribe, download, hit all the buttons, and maybe Caleb will be able to afford some decent wine.
No, damn, January's almost over. So next week it's gonna be bourbon.
No, next week is going to be bourbon. Well, you're going to need it for
I'll
for
need
Tampa.
it for Tampa.
Big Chief Process, and we're going to fire Hong Kong. Yeah, hey, check out You've Got to Be Shot Into Me, man. We got stuff on there. I off the top of my head, I can't remember. I think the one race I definitely liked. There was a
Let me
was
guess,
race
just my
3.
pert in every race. Pert in every race.
I mean, you can, but in race 3, I really liked the 11 Circuit Mighty. We'll see what kind of price we got on it. It looks like to be Lone Speed, and you guys know I love Lone Speed, so I'll leave you guys with that. But if you want to see what else we think, you got to be shot into me here on YouTube. Good luck. Have a good weekend, guys, and make some money.